My client's team was spending 2 hours updating a Google Sheets every single day. It was boring, repetitive, and they couldn't scale because of it. And within 2 weeks of working together, we fixed that one issue, and on that entire process that took 2 hours now takes 5 minutes. So in this video, I will show you how you can automate the process of tracking anything that you want in Google Sheets automatically without having to lift a finger. But if you're new to the channel, my name is Matt Paiva. I build AI solutions for businesses, especially on the sales and marketing side of things. And I've automated data entry processes just like this one across industries, from healthcare all the way to personal finance. And I'll tell you, I know how to do this stuff, and I've seen that this is one of the things that actually unlocks the most for businesses, because it's the simple things that you need to solve first before you start thinking about any complexity. Before you think about AI agents or anything that you can add to your business, you need to first fix what's wrong. And a lot of the times when I talk to business owners that haven't actually started implementing AI in their business, usually data entry is a big point that you can start doing right away. So this is how you can do that. And just a quick disclaimer, the next part of the video, I will dive deep into what types of projects you should be picking and why you should be picking certain types of projects over others. But if you want to skip straight into the tactical side of how to build these types of automations that will track things in Google Sheets for you, just skip to this timestamp that is appearing on the video, and I'll see you right there. But before we talk about the tactical side of building automations that will do these things for you, why don't we talk about bigger picture first? Why should you focus on these types of solutions first before building any type of AI agent or anything that's new to your business? If you want to future-proof your business in the long run, you will probably need to use AI in one point or another. And obviously there's a lot of different solutions out there of how you can implement that in your business. The reason why you should start with simple things like data entry is because the risk and the reward that you have for those types of projects are much more significant in comparison to an AI agent, for example, or this could even be a customer support chatbot, for example. If you start automating internal tasks that have a huge ROI in the business, you will probably see a lot of good things happening inside. Now, how can we even think about this ROI? The first thing that you need to look at is what are the tasks in the day-to-day that take the most time? And not only the tasks that take up the most time, but also the tasks that take up the most time for the most important people in your business. So if you have, for example, a handful of VAs who are just managing your inbox for you because you receive maybe hundreds of emails every single day, maybe those hours you can keep to the side right now. But let's say you're an accounting firm and you have a handful of your senior accountants doing the same exact process. That is a process that would be very prone for automation, because you're taking away valuable hours from people that are really valuable in the business and getting them to do something simple. So this is one of the main reasons why we should think about AI in terms of starting with things that can yield the most ROI. But this might sound a little bit redundant or obvious, but reality is people are thinking about AI as this new innovative thing that can create new things, while they should be thinking about AI just like electricity. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'll actually show you a clip of Jeff Bezos talking about this concept, how I saw it in the first place.
So AI, you have to remember, AI, modern AI, is a horizontal enabling layer. It can be used to improve everything. It will be in everything. This is most like electricity. These kind of horizontal layers, like electricity and compute and now artificial intelligence, they go everywhere. I guarantee you there is not a single application that you can think of that is not going to be made better.
And obviously that's a very short clip from a very long interview with Jeff Bezos, and I think he's absolutely right when he talks about thinking about AI as electricity. It is a horizontal enabling layer. Now, obviously we've seen a lot of applications of AI in the customer service area. That's because it is very useful to apply it to that area. The amount of success cases that we've seen with Klarna, with other companies out there that have done really, really well automating and creating agents for customer service has been really good. Now, this doesn't mean that you should start with AI with customer service, or it doesn't mean that that's going to be the only area that you need to focus on. You probably have seen online other agents that do other things, maybe a sales agent, maybe a marketing agent, or other things in between. But the point that I'm trying to drive home here is that building agents isn't the only way that you can implement AI into your business. Oftentimes you will see agents and you will see these things happening with other businesses, but they are probably a few steps ahead of the novice business owner who hasn't done anything with AI yet. And the reality is, as someone who builds AI agents for a living, they are a lot more complex than they look. You might see an end-to-end template on YouTube and People may sound like it's easy to build, but it's actually not. There's a lot of hurdles that you can find along the way, and you should focus on solutions that are simpler first, that can either make your processes cheaper, faster, or less error prone. In this case, more accurate. So if you find a process that takes you too many hours from the right people, and you can turn that process faster, cheaper, and make it more accurate, you should absolutely do it. But how do you actually find these processes in the first place? Well, you should think about one of three different things. Where is the business losing time, money, or focus in the day-to-day operations? And out of those three that I mentioned, if you find a process that takes too much time to fulfill, that's usually going to be a very good process to start with, because odds are, if it's a high volume workflow, it will be a very, very valuable workflow to automate in the beginning. I have one client, for example, that had a process that took about a minute to complete every time. But the thing is, it happened over 50,000 times on a given month. So that was adding up a lot of hours that were being taken away from the team. So if we just automated this 1 minute task that happens 50,000 times, we're freeing up 50,000 minutes every single month for them. But if you don't have a process with a volume just like this one, you don't need to worry. It's actually really good to start small and accurate. I had 2 business owners reach out to me last week, and they were reaching out because they had offers to build AI agents from other multi-billion-dollar companies. And I think I'm allowed to say this. One of them was Salesforce. They were offering this business a package for multiple years that were hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of value. But reality is, this business hadn't even done the groundwork with AI of tackling the things that needed to be automated on a day-to-day, and the low-hanging fruit that is definitely there to start automating. So if you are a business owner and you haven't yet started investing in AI, or you don't really know how to start investing in AI, I also do AI audits completely for free for business owners. So just go ahead and book a free call with me down below, or shoot me an email saying that you want a free AI audit, and we'll talk about the low-hanging fruits that you should start tackling in the first place. Now that all of that has been covered, let's talk about how to automate things in Google Sheets and create this entire process that will just free up a bunch of time for you. Okay, so to start off the session of how to automate tracking with Google Sheets, let's use this hypothetical sheet over here with one row. So essentially what's happening in the sheet here is what we had for this client. They sell events or they promote events through Facebook ads, mainly for venues, right? So if there's a concert happening in your city and you need to promote that concert, you will reach out to this client, for example. So here, let's say that the event is Rolling Stones, and it is happening on Friday, November 28th, 2025. Let's say that the capacity for the event is about 35 or 350 tickets, and you've sold 35 so far. So this is what their sheet looked like. They had the event dates, the name of the event, how many days were selling left, all of this good information about ticket sales, as well as information about ads. So this client came to me with this Google Sheet and essentially asked me, how can we automatically track the amount of sales that each event is getting, as well as the ad spend that's happening on Facebook? How can we merge those two pieces of information into one table in Google Sheet here automatically? Because they were doing this every single day. And like I said in the beginning, it was taking them about 2 hours every single day. So I started looking into the problem, and there are multiple ways that you can go about this. But the thing is, not every ticket sales website has an API, a native API that you can just connect and plug into Google Sheets through Make.com and have it work automatically. In this scenario, they were using Oztix, which is an Australian platform that is used to sell event tickets, and they don't have an API. So we had to come up with a way of matching the information in Oztix to the Google Sheets and doing that automatically. A couple other platforms that I think don't have this kind of integration are Ticketmaster, for example. Although Eventbrite, I think they have a native connection, so it is a little bit more straightforward to put it together. Although when you start building, you realize the complexities that come up. On the Facebook side, though, you can use Facebook's modules within Make.com to track ad spend, ads budget, spend per day, and any other type of metric over here. And I actually want to create a video just about how to track Facebook ads spend and performance as well. So that is something that I'll cover in another day. But in this part, how do you actually get your AI or your system, your automation, to be able to accurately put the number of sales on a given day to the right column every single time? Well, you need to find a way to match those two things together. And the best way of doing it is by including the ID of that event here in Google Sheets. And here I'm saying events because we're dealing with events as the main thing to be sold here, but obviously you could be tracking any kind of thing. If you're in an e-commerce, for example, you could list all of the products that you have here on the events column, and then just have the number of sales that you had on a given week, the number of sales that you have right now, while you're still monitoring the ads that you're running in the background with some other columns over here. So just keep this in your mind a little bit broader than what it is right now. And this event ID needs to come from the platform that you are going to be pulling the sales information from, because, or if you're tracking for Facebook, for example, it would be an ad set ID or a campaign ID, but let me not overcomplicate this. So this event ID is actually a partial event ID from one of the clients' events that they had in OzTix. This is not a full ID, so guys, don't worry, don't try to copy it, don't do anything with it weird, because the event ID is what we use to map out when we are importing a Excel file that is downloaded from OzTix. We need to be able to find the event in that Excel file and match it to the Google Sheets so it makes sense. Maybe you're organizing your Google Sheets based on event date, and when you actually export the information from your other platform, it won't come in the same order. So you need to be able to dynamically map based on a unique identifier, and that's what we are going to be talking about over here. And the thing is, I know you probably don't have a unique identifier in your Google Sheets over here, and it's normal not to. It is best practices. So in the future, if you are building databases or anything that you're tracking for your business internally or externally for clients, make sure to include a unique identifier, which can be a combination of letters and numbers, just a unique number. It could be, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have 1 per row here. It is very good best practices, and it does come in handy later down the line. So make sure to include the ID of the product that you're using, or the ID of whatever you're tracking. Maybe it's Instagram posts, maybe it's ads, whatever it is, just include the ID over there. And then once you get to the Mick.com side, you will need to build something that looks like this. Now, this is the automation that I actually have live for this client, but it might not be what it looks like over here for you guys, because the key components that you need from this are these Google Sheets modules over here. And what are we doing? We are first pulling a Google Sheets list sheets module, because we are importing an Excel, transforming it into a Google Sheets, and now we're looking at that list sheets module. Then we're using a get range values of the Google Sheet that we have. So this would be this sheet that we have over here. We are getting the range of values. This would be like from row 2 all the way to row 100, 100,000, however many rows you have here that you're tracking. We're getting all of the unique IDs that are listed here. And obviously in this one, we only have 1, but on the other one, there's like a few hundred over there. And then essentially, once we pull all the values that we have on that given column, we're going to match the information from the original Excel to that given value. So let me give you guys a little bit of context. Sometimes you might have events or products that don't have an ID, which in that case they did. Those were events that were sold in different platforms instead of just OzTix. So I have filters here that just make sure that that event ID actually exists in Google Sheets. So let's rewind what we're doing. We're pulling all the information that we have from the Excel sheet. We're pulling all of the event IDs that we have listed. We're filtering out any IDs that might not exist or any cells that might be empty. And now we're going to search for a matching event ID in the original Excel file to begin with. Then we're going to update the correct row. So how do you actually set up this module? Well, first you need to connect to your proper drive here. And here we have their drive connected. And then from here on out, we will just select the range that we want to be looking for. So this is the range of B2, which would be column B and cell 2, all the way to B150, which is the 150 events that they have at any given moment. Here, just make sure that your range includes the first and the last event or product that you have listed on your Google Sheets. Then after, how do you actually search for the matching event ID? Well, you need to do a search rows module over here and use the file ID that we're pulling previously, because here the trigger for this is to watch files that are being put in a Google Drive folder, and we're going to pretty much map out in that Excel file what is the event ID that we're going to be looking for. So you just make sure to map out on the spreadsheet ID, include the sheet name as the name that you have outlined, and then here your filter should be the column that the event ID is on the Excel file that you're importing, matching the event ID that you have coming in from Google Sheets. Now, what's going to happen from this moment on is that you're going to move on to have only the matching events, or the events that have a matching event ID, from the Excel file to the Google Sheets. And now you can actually just update the row count. So here you just need to map out the row number that you're using, and you are going to update the current count or the current ticket sales for that specific event. And that's how we do it over here. But if we are expanding this process for any type of sales, what you essentially need is a get range values module, then a search rows module, then an update row module. These are the three key components to make this work in any type of scenario happening in Google Sheets. Now, as you guys can see in this automation, this is much bigger than just those three modules. Now, why is that? Because when we're pulling the Excel file, we're monitoring a specific folder to see when someone drops in that file. And that is just one person on their team. Whenever they need to update the current count of the events or the current sales of each event, they just drop the Excel file over here, which is automatically downloaded from Oztix and inputted there. And then we also have a Slack notification sent out as soon as this part is done. It happens every 2 minutes, and this entire process usually takes about 5 minutes from the moment that someone drops in the file in the Google folder to the last node over here, which is just removing the file from that folder. Now, the other steps that we have over here, if you are curious, is that Slack notifications letting them know that the ticket sales have been updated. And we also have an HTTP request, which is a trigger to another automation that does other things. So obviously this is not a standalone process, even though it could be, because this alone was saving them 20 hours a week, which just in a whole year worth of time would be 562 hours. But we're also building other things on top of this. Now, let me show you what those things are. So I want to go over this Miro board over here, which kind of explains everything that we have going on in the background and explains the HTTP module that I just showed you guys. But before that, why are we doing this in the first place? Why are we tracking things in Google Sheets in the first place? Well, we're doing this because we want to make sure as business owners that our delivery is on point. And maybe we're just tracking marketing things. We just want to make sure that what we're doing is yielding results. So you're going to have a bunch of data points over here, and you need to be able to know what to do with them. You can either create reports, dashboards, or act on those data insights. And here you can do one of three things that I can come up with from the top of my mind. You can create a dashboard, you can get your team to do things, or you can create reports that you send either to your clients or to your internal team right away. So out of those three things, I would say that the first two are most important. Having a dashboard where you can just find insights, that's really important. And having your team act right away when you don't have anything set up is also really important. So this second thing is actually what we did first. And as you guys can see, that is the Asana tasks over here. That's why in this Google Sheet, we have an Asana task link and an Asana task created. Because here, when our automation ends and it triggers something else, it actually triggers the automation that tracks the event performance and creates tasks accordingly. So like you guys can see over here, all the information is coming in from Facebook, from Oztix, from Eventbrite, and is getting tracked in the Google Sheets. And then we get AI to pretty much interpret that information. A lot of the times the interpretation is hard-coded, meaning that we have hard-coded thresholds over here. And some other times we can also do interpretation based on context, right? So if it's a combination of a couple different factors, it can be a little bit more nuanced. But the Asana tasks that they have, for example, are based on specific thresholds for events. So for example, if there is an event that has slow sales, and this would be less than 50% of sales with 2 weeks to go for the event, or an event with fast sales, this would be 80% of the tickets sold with 3+ weeks to go. This would trigger a task in Asana, because these two things would require a different type of action from their team members. If it's slow, you need to change the ads. If it's fast, maybe you need to slow down the ads. So that's what we included over there. Every day when they upload the Excel file with all of the event sales information, everything happens in the background. We have this whole system that inputs everything into the Google Sheets and automatically lets the team know what they should be paying attention to. Now, aside from this, I said that we could also build a dashboard, and this is a part that we're actually working on right now. So that's why we have a placeholder dashboard over here. And I actually had a professor that taught data storytelling and a class on Tableau that talked about dashboards as a tool to find insights. This is not a tool where someone will just present you the insights. So you should have all sorts of types of information over here. Obviously, the information that would be relevant for a manager or a business owner to be able to just look at it at a glance and figure out if there's something wrong with the business. So we're actually building this in the background right now. And another thing that we had is a daily Slack report to just eventually we changed from daily to weekly. And this is something that we're working as well, to send a message at the end of the week about the best and worst performing ads for that given week. So the team can know and everybody actually can be aware of what events are doing well, what events are not doing well, and what we should be paying attention to so we don't drop the ball, essentially. And as you guys can see, this entire solution not only saves 562 hours on a given year, but it also creates a lot of value additive activities in the business that can improve the delivery of the service for this one client at the end of the day. Now, these are things that I built without having to build an AI agent. And to bring back the point that I made in the beginning is that you don't need to build something complex to actually have a real return on your investment. You need to build something effective that is right for your business. That's why everything that I build is custom made for a specific business. Because I could sit here and create a bunch of templates of AI agents and just leave them on the description and sell it on a specific platform, but at the end of the day, this business owner wouldn't be able to implement that to this specific use case. And maybe you who are listening right now wouldn't be able to apply this entire use case to your e-commerce business, or maybe to your accounting business, or whatever type of business you work in. And as you guys can tell, I get very passionate about this topic because it does mean a lot to me, being able to create a meaningful amount of change for a business instead of just selling an AI agent that someone can template around and tweak it to create a small amount of change within a context. So this specific automation here, or this specific set of solutions that we built for this client, took about a month or so to build everything, and unlocked 562 hours of time saved, not to mention the value added activities that we mentioned a little bit before, of having their team actually know what to do whenever these data points are inserted into the Google Sheets. So that's all that I had for you today. And if you want me to build the right type of solutions for you that will actually future-proof your business in the long run, just feel free to book a call in the first link in the description below. And if you are curious on how this could be applicable in any other type of businesses, just go ahead and watch the video that's popping up over here. I've covered many different business types and project types in this channel, so just go ahead and watch that one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.